Yeah, sit in the middle, in our cozy corner here. I'm going to turn my chair around so I can actually face you. One of the things that struck me as we were listening to both you gentlemen is that although Vietnam and Algeria are obviously very different countries and far apart in the world, you actually do have some similar issues to deal with. And one of those issues is declining output, declining production, and you have different strategies in order to deal with this. And I wanted to ask first Dr. Van Khan, one of the things that struck me about your strategy is that you are going overseas. You're a very unusual NOC, and that you've decided quite deliberately and dare I say it, even aggressively, to go outside of your territorial limits and do partnerships with other countries. Could you give me a feeling of what the issues are in that? I mean, you alluded to some of them. You are engaged in a competition with some of the world's biggest enterprises. You are actually in Algeria, I think I seem to remember. You should know each other. What struck me is that you're competing with the major oil companies, you're competing with oil service companies, and what does Petro-Vietnam bring to the equation that, for example, just throwing the name out of the hat, the BP does not?
I think that using the words compete, it's maybe we don't want to be in that situation. Actually, we cooperate with all the even the NOC and IOC or even the major. For instance, like we went into the project in Algeria by bidding in 2002, and we successful with the bid for the exploration in Hasima South. And by that time we 100%, and we success to discover the oil there in the field, and we farm out to PTT EP. And then since we have the announcement, commercial announcement, then Sonatrach back in 25% in our project, and now we set up the company to manage that project. Or in Peru, is for instance, we buy the access from Prianco, and we buy the access from ConocoPhillips. So we buying the access through the bidding and through the also direct negotiation. So I think that this, in terms of compare the scale, the company like Petro-Vietnam E&P it's much smaller than the big major oil company. So in big company may have different strategy, maybe focus on the bigger scale of the project, and for us, very difficult for us to go into the bigger scale investment, billion and billion. We may not be able to do that. So we go into some project where we think that it fit to purpose to us, and may not fit with others bigger operators, and we cooperate in the country where also the country and country relationship good, like Algeria. I think we have long history with Algeria, and we have the great support from Algerian government as well. So answer the question that I think that even this day, all the project, all the big and good project is not many more. All is deep waters and complicated E&P project, but still the room for everyone to have our piece of the cake of the oil and gas in all over the world. So main thing that we have to define what you want and what you can do to expand the business overseas. And I'm confident that we will be success in our overseas business.
And Dr. Maaliou, just turning to Sonatrach, as I mentioned, issues about raising production profile, and you talked about some of your challenges. One of you mentioned, of course, that you're doing a licensing round at the moment, and I gather the previous licensing round wasn't the greatest success. What can you do differently this time to ensure that more companies like Petro Vietnam come to Algeria and invest in the country?
I think I have mentioned what's been done. Was first to introduce some amendments to the hydrocarbon laws, which was to give more incentives for specific acreage, which is mainly to increase, to guarantee a return. And this has been done. The second thing is this bid round has extended to many areas, which is covering both what we call conventional, gas and oil, existing. And in addition, there is some shale plays that have been identified, and offshore. And another thing is the northern part of Algeria, which is everybody knows the production comes from the desert up to now, and this is a new thing. So it's like a large spectrum of acreage that's been put now on the bidding process, in addition to the amendments of the law, which gives some kind of certainty to the investor.
Would anybody like to ask a question, particularly to Mr. Maaliou, in relation to what he's been telling us about Sonatrach's plans, or to both gentlemen? Over there.
I'm Peter Stewart from Interfax. I had a question about, with all the upstream and downstream development, how do you expect that to affect the profile of exports from Algeria in the longer run, and in particular the balance between oil products and crude oil?
Thank you. The objective of these new upstream developments, Sonatrach is aiming to reach about 225 million tons of oil equivalent primary production. Today, it's about 190. So it's not a big increase, but and out of this, today, the 2/3 are gas and gas-related products production, which means we are still considering Sonatrach as a gas company. But out of this, the domestic demand is increasing, and we expect, today we have like 1/3 and 2/3. 1/3 is consumed domestically and 2/3 are exported. We're expecting something like 45-55, which means we still aim to minimum at the least to keep our position in the market as it is today.
Any further questions? One over there.
Yes, good morning. This is Juan Mesa, head of M&A in Ecopetrol. This is the question for Mr. Khanh. Well, first of all, thank you very much for your insightful presentation. In terms of your foreign investments, I would like to hear more about your investments in Peru and particularly in Venezuela, and how your JV with PDVSA has been evolved, the pitfalls or the successes that you have had so far. Thank you.
We have the JV with PDVSA in Orioko well, Hunin Block, Hunin 2, and that's been starting since 2010. And we've been doing some seismic, doing few well, and we start production last year with from 2 wells, very small on production. but for a while, and then we found that transport by truck to refinery is not economy. So right now we stop production, and we are doing the appraisal, plan to doing appraisal for the planning with the full field development. However, as you may aware that the economy has been not as what we expect, and we have delaying in most of all the milestone has been put behind, and due to the exchange rate, it's very much different between the official exchange rate and other, so been cost us a lot more than what we expect. So right now we are discussing with the PDVSA for the solution for continue to do on this project. But right now I think we have minimum of the operation or planning for the operation. It's mainly we are target on the appraisal of the field, because the field performance is also not what we expect before we invest on this project.
There's a question right at the back there, I think.
Ariel Cohen, International Market Analysis. A question for Mr. Omar Maaliou. Thank you very much for an excellent presentation. I have a question about Sonatrach European gas export strategy, and especially LNG. In view of the events in Ukraine, I think a lot of people in the European Commission, in the European utilities, and elsewhere in Europe are rethinking the dependence on the importation of the Russian gas. And this is a wonderful opportunity for all the exporters of gas, both piped and LNG, to intensify the competition. Do you have any particular thoughts about Sonatrach expanding its market share, and if yes, how? Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's quite well. You know, in the gas exports business, most of the contracts are on a long-term basis, which means it's like 15, 20 years, and usually they match the capacity of both either pipeline or LNG, which means, except for the flexibility that's provided in the contracts, which is quite standard, there shouldn't be much room. Now, first thing. Second thing, you know, if you want to develop a new route of exports, you have to imagine and plan the whole chain, which goes from the upstream all the way down to the exports, which takes some time, especially in the gas business. Now, having said this, in the case of Sonatrach, especially with this new LNG terminal in Arzu, which is starting this year, there is some excess capacity that's been used for now for spot volumes in order to take advantage of what we call market disruptions, as the one happened in Asia. This could be a possibility. Of course, as you know, Europe has been investing a lot on LNG receiving terminals, so it is still a possibility. Whether anything has been anything done in this area, I'm not sure. I'm not involved. As I said earlier, I'm based in London and mostly involved in crude oil and oil products. But I can just give you like my general feeling. Any producer will put whatever volume he has to the best paying market. This is a value searching. This is nothing more. I hope I answer a bit of the question.
I think we have time for one more question, quick question. Any volunteers? Gentleman in the front there.
My name is Mohammed Sen. I am from Mari Petroleum, Pakistan. My question to Dr. Saab Sonatrach is, Sonatrach has a very extensive exploration program and want to drill out about 600 wells in near future. Does these wells are in new areas or frontier areas or in already explored areas? And my second question is, major production of Sonatrach is from Hassi Masood. Does this field is on depleting trend? If yes, do you have any plan for EOR?
Very specific upstream question, ma'am. You know how the blocks are defined? Some are the ones we call frontier, which are sort of brand new, and others are just close to a producing region, which means there's always a prospect of an extended field. This is the way. And as you say, these are mostly they are new acreage, as I said earlier, and the new thing being some shale, which we call tight formations, the north and offshore. These are the new ones. The existing would be, otherwise the others would be just close to the existing producing, which is a high prospect also. That's the first question. The second one, you were asking about Hassi Masood. Hassi Masood is a producing, huge producing field. Today, more than 400,000 barrels a day. As Hassi Masood, of course, it's not in the bidding round because there's no need to, but for the surrounding areas, there could be some acreage on the bidding process. I'm not sure about it, but it is quite common to have this approach within Somalia.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I think we have time for a break. I think we've all earned one. I'd just like to thank two speakers, Mr. Maaliou from Sonatrach and Dr. Van Khan from Petro Vietnam.
Just because before you finish, because your question I have not completed the answer at the end about the Chinese rich get into the Vietnam. I think because you was asking that what we're going to do, and I'm not complete that part. So actually that one is 100% on the Vietnamese exclusive water area, economic zone. So of course we have to do whatever we need to do because it's really violate our sovereignty. So we will do internationally and also from the country. We have to do everything to make sure that the rich have to be moved out and it not happen again in the future. So thank you for all the support because it happened to Vietnam, it could happen to any other country, and we hope that not happen again to any of NOC in the future. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much.